Starting. And we are live. What's up? It's your boy, Dammit Clem, here, accompanied by the fabulous JD. We are doing WWE Great Balls of Fire. JD, say what's up to everyone.
How's everybody doing? This is JD. JD is always me. I'm also on YouTube as well, so.
All right. Well, now me and JD are kind of in a strange situation. The real problem here seems to be that my network was crapping out on me all night, and JD saw bits and pieces of the show as well. So we'll be able to give you a review, but for the most part, I'm going to kind of hit a few notes on a few things, and then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Now, I'll first off admit, I did not see the Bray Wyatt match, the Bray Wyatt Seth Rollins match at all. I literally just read the result. Did you see the match at all?
I seen bits and pieces of it. I really was pulling for Seth Rollins at that point, only because to me Bray Wyatt's kind of the same person like he always has been. He's always been the darker side of his team back before the split up and everything. Before he split up from Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, and Braun Strowman. So I was kind of pulling for Seth Rollins, but it appears that WWE had a different plan, so they actually had him winning the match at the end. Before we move to that match, why not just start off with the kickoff? Akira Tozawa versus Neville.
Well, I'll tell you why I didn't bring that match up, because I didn't see that match either. I literally just saw the end all result, which, believe it or not, I think it's the result most people were expecting. I don't think there were too many people who were expecting Akira Tozawa to come out of this. I don't really think anyone expects anyone associated with the Titus brand to come out on top of anything. But I'm kind of disappointed that I did miss it, because it looked like it was a pretty good match.
I mean, I was pulling for Akira the whole way, only because when I remember Neville first debuted, he was just a better character. He was more of the one that everybody would more vote for, because he was more of the underdog. Now he's just trying to play this persona that he's the best in the Cruiserweight, but I mean, you can go back to when TJP first won the Cruiserweight. I think he was a better champion than Neville. Like, if Neville cleaned up his act, I'd have more faith in Neville to be a good champion. But I was pulling for
Those are some powerful words, JD.
It is what it is. But I mean, you got so many more talented people now within 205 Live, and a lot of stories which are good. I wish if there was anybody that they could focus on for 205 Live, I wish it would be Mustafa Ali. The guy seems like he's an incredible talent, and they're just not using him to his full potential. Besides this whole thing with Drew, besides this whole mix-up he's got with Drew Gallagher, whatever the heck his name is.
Well, that's funny. I don't think Drew, Now, I knew how to pronounce his name before I heard you pronounce it. Now I'm at a complete loss. But I don't think anyone's seen Drew appear on the main roster at all since he's been signed. I know he's been on 205 Live. I knew, obviously, he was in the Cruiserweight Classic. That's kind of how you get to everything else. But I don't think he's been active ever since then.
No, he's kind of been just hitting on Mustafa Ali with the whole no-fly zone thing, which it's kind of funny, but it kind of makes the show very well. But moving on to what we're at hand is, but yeah, I was pulling for Tozawa. I wasn't pulling for Neville.
I was actually, I can't even say that I was pulling for Neville. It was just the expected result. If Austin Aries, who recently got released, wasn't going to take the championship, I didn't really have much faith that Tozawa was going to do it. I think if anyone's going to take the championship off of Neville, it's going to be kind of in a multi-man match. It's going to come out of nowhere, and it's going to be someone people probably aren't going to expect.
Watch it be Cedric Alexander or somebody.
Cedric Alexander, he's not a bad candidate. But let's jump back into the Seth Rollins Bray Wyatt thing. Now, like I said, I didn't see the match, but I was somewhat pulling for Bray Wyatt only because this guy couldn't buy a victory if he was a millionaire. Like, I had a miniature celebration when I heard that he actually won a match. That's how genuinely shocked I was that it actually happened.
I'm surprised. Since the last pay-per-view where which was Money in the Bank when why do I forget his name? The male winner. Somebody will remind me somehow, some way.
Baron Corbin?
Yeah. I'm surprised that he didn't show up at all.
Well, I mean, the shows are kind of split apart by brand now, so he's going to be on his own little thing there.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be a weird turn of events? He ends up getting let go, and Raw picks him up the minute before the show starts.
I would just like for him to be let go in general, but that's a different story for another day.
Yeah. I keep getting sidetracked. There's so much I know. But yeah, I was pulling for Seth. I mean, Seth's coming back from a major knee injury that was put on him, I think, twice by several different people, including Samoa Joe. And I was. It's not that I don't like having him as a person, but it's more of the fact that Seth Rollins has always been kind of a favorite. So I mean,
can
I
see
was
that. I mean,
pulling
his
for
move
Seth.
set just kind of makes him more likable. Except when he comes off a knee injury and the first thing he does is front flip to the outside of the ring and he lands on his feet. That's probably not a good idea. But
No, bad idea. That was against. I think he came back and went right for Triple H, right? If I remember correctly.
he was in the title picture, and then Triple H came back at some point, and things kind of went from there.
These freaking half wrestlers, and they're making their own time slots.
But
That was a
outside of
letdown, though.
that, then we had the next match, Big Cass versus Enzo Amore. I saw about half of this, but
This is
it
a
looked like
sad
the match
moment for
was
me.
a spanking.
Dude, I was just saying this before I even got into this call that we're having here, and I love the WWE for all their matches and all their people that they have in there and their tag teams. I mean, let's look at some of their best tag teams. I mean, they got the Hardy Boys that came back. One of the greatest returns in my point. Then you had the Hype Bros that just got back. Zack Ryder coming off an injury to join back to Mojo Rawley, which Mojo Rawley was doing great on his own. But then they take, personally, next to the New Day, one of my favorite tag teams to watch was Big Cass and Enzo. I get that they want to keep a storyline going, but why are you going to mess with two of the most funniest in-ring personalities that they have? I mean, that was an openly clear match that Enzo's probably not going to make.
I'm in a wrestling group, and this show I decided to just make some bold predictions, some of which I didn't think would actually happen. And one of the predictions I didn't think that was going to happen that I just decided to go for anyway was I predicted that Enzo would win this match by DQ. Because my theory or my logic behind that was he was going to get his ass beat so badly that, he was going to get his ass beat so badly, keep getting back up. That was going to piss off Big Cass. And then, by the time it was all over, Big Cass would just snap because he's pissed off that it's taken this long or that Enzo keeps getting back up. Whatever cliche reason you want to throw out there. And that was going to lead to Enzo getting the victory and continuing the feud, even though it was just going to be a DQ victory.
Yeah. I don't even know why they would use these guys for a feud. Like, they were never really that kind of a tag team.
Well, I mean, I think what it is they're popular enough because of what they do, mostly the promo segments, that I feel like they felt they had to do something. And I don't think anyone would have wanted to just see these guys say, okay, well, yeah, we don't feel like being a tag team anymore. Goodbye. So they had to have some sort of feud behind it.
Yeah.
As far as the match was concerned, it was a pretty one-sided affair. When I caught wind of the match, or when I started watching, Enzo was just getting tossed around a little bit, and then he literally got tossed out of the ring, which was a pretty hilarious spot. I don't know who that is, but whoever it is, tell him I said hi.
It's my mother, and everybody in this household doesn't know the words "leave me be."
Hi, Miss JD.
You go away.
Go away.
I don't want to.
I know
Oh
you
man,
don't want.
your mom's very pretty.
Who is that?
Go away. I'll tell you about it later.
Is she seeing anyone?
I'm not answering that question.
Pancake.
That's enough.
Baker's man.
But yeah, but like I said though, that match right there was able to be seen.
I'm not gonna say nothing.
I don't care.
I won't get in the picture.
That match right there though, the Enzo versus Big Cass. I mean, everybody should have seen it. That what's the outcome from a guy that's his size versus Big Cass? Whether or not there was any stipulations to the match, Big Cass was going to come out on the end.
Yeah, I think we could agree on that. So then I guess we can jump into the Hardy Boys versus Sheamus and Cesaro. This match was a little bit more extensive than the others.
Yeah.
Additionally, there was a lot of stuff going on. I had a few notes here. Interestingly enough, Matt Hardy takes the first pinfall loss out of this match. 16 seconds in, I think he gets a brogue kick from Sheamus for the first 3 count.
Yeah.
Then they had a whole bunch of like crazy stuff going on. Like there was the whole, I think at one point they did like a hybrid sort of move between the White Noise and Cesaro coming off the top. So that was a nice little, I don't know what they call that move, but it looked effective enough. And then we had something I found interesting. Are you aware of the broken gimmick by the Hardys?
You're talking in the other when they were in ECW.
No. Well, okay. So there's in TNA they were doing this gimmick called the broken gimmick, and the idea was basically
Matt was able to control Jeff to do whatever he wanted or something like that.
Oh no,
more than
not that.
Okay.
It's a lot more entertaining than that. So basically, they were tag team champions. They lost the tag team titles. Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy end up in a feud for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Jeff does some horrible, painful shit. I think he dove off, like he strapped Matt to a table and then dove off of a platform or something and damn near killed Matt. And then Matt goes completely batshit insane and becomes broken Matt Hardy.
Okay, I remember something. Yeah, I remember vaguely I remember the whole thing. I was never really a WCW or Yeah, I was never really a fan of the show that they went to.
Okay, well, the thing about it is that it turned into these sort of cinematic matches where the matches were shot more like movies, and there was a bunch of crazy shit going on, like fireworks. They'd shoot Roman candles at each other. They would have fights at the Hardy compound, which is just this big, massive land between their two houses in North Carolina.
Kind of like the Wyatts when they had their hideout.
Yeah, only the Broken Hardys thing happened first, and it was a lot more entertaining. But
yeah,
basically that. What I found interesting about this is they kept saying throughout the match, they were talking about how Matt Hardy was getting like aggressive and losing his temper. And I'm thinking, at this point, this has been going on for months. No one knows if the broken gimmick is going to happen in WWE or not. But I couldn't help but think about, you bite your tongue, you heathen. I would hope that it would, because it's a really entertaining gimmick and it's much different than everything else that happens. But it's to you what you just said. It's one of those things that falls in between a line. Either you love it because it's so crazy and different from everything from wrestling, or you think it's the stupidest thing you've ever seen. There's very little in between on that.
Yeah, I mean, the Hardys have always been that team. Like, I grew up watching the Hardys. I grew up when, Edge, Christian, all the better performing wrestlers, in my opinion, were there. And when the Hardys left the WWE, whenever they decided to leave and move on to something else, it just wasn't the same in the tag teams to me. I mean, they were known as the hardest tag team to beat. But now you got so many other people now. You got, just in general, not even talking about the brand split, you got American Alphas, which is a great tag team, in my opinion. Now you got the Cesaro and the Sheamus thing that started to work out finally. You got, who else?
I mean, people are probably going to laugh at me when I say this team, but I'm a big fan of Primo and Epico, so there's that.
How dare you?
Hey, you will not make fun of the Matadors.
That's fine, but I'll take the hit on that one because I think Freeze Dongo is probably one of the more funnier tag teams to watch in my opinion. So I can
I
take a
was
hit
gonna
as
bring
well.
them up next.
But it's just like there's so much more talent in the tag team division now. There's just one team that like it let me down over the past couple months. That's the Usos. Like the Usos used to be known as like the high flying, the high energy, really down to earth type people. They're from the Samoas. They're from the Rock stuff, and I really don't like their new gimmick where they're the hardcore. We're the best at what we do, and I think that was a stupid thing for them to do was to move to that because there was no real like. There's a story on how it got to that, but not really. I mean, they're saying like, oh, well, we waited so many other times to have our shot, and we're tired of it. But there's just some things I feel like shouldn't have been messed with in the tag teams, and that was one of them. And like I said earlier, look at the Hype Bros. I mean, they're one of the funniest people to watch, in my opinion. Then you got the New Day that came from nowhere with Xavier Woods and Big E, and always forget the other one.
Kofi.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more potential, and I feel like the WWE only focuses on maybe 2 to 3 tag teams a week or a month. And I think they should really use that talent more often because now a lot of the people are going the single ways because they see that there's more for them. Which, yeah, there is, but who knows?
I
Who
mean,
knows
all
what?
in all, this match was very
Body.
I think it started off very slow, and then it picked
Oh,
up a lot towards
absolutely.
the end. And I mean, it's kind of an Iron Man sort of match, so that's usually how it works.
And it's been a
Um,
while since we've seen an Iron Man match.
I mean, I'm not really a big fan of them, and I know a lot of people online were kind of saying, "Oh, the Hardys are a little older; they can't handle it." One thing I
Nah.
found particularly funny from Booker T, there was a spot in the match where Matt, leaned over or got on all fours so that Jeff could jump off his back to the outside of the ring, and Booker T made this kind of sly comment about how when Jeff used to do moves like that, he was a light heavyweight, and now he's definitely a heavyweight. And I'm just thinking, what an odd thing to say about the person who's supposed to be one of the good guys in the match. But Jeff doesn't look fatter, but he does look thicker.
Oh, they've
I
all
mean, I mean,
aged.
I guess I'd say
Like,
he looks more like an adult now. Like when he was in the Hardy Boys, he looked a little bit more like a teenager.
yeah, and that's what one thing that really everybody looked up to was the way that he was, and he was that guy that everybody wanted to be like, and people taking videos of them jumping off of roofs to tables and whatnot.
I didn't
Yeah,
want to
that
be like
was.
him. Jeff Hardy's kind of the Jeff Hardy, not the person, but the character has always been kind of an asshole. Like one of my one of my memories that put this in perspective for me is the I think it was the WWF WCW tag team unification matches where they wrestled the Dudley Boys in the steel cage.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a point where Stacy Keibler was managing the Dudley Boys, and
One of the
through some
weirdest man.
very persuasive means, she manages to get the key off of the referee and slide a table into the ring. And they set it up, right? They set this table up, and Jeff Hardy has a choice. Matt Hardy has already escaped to the outside of the ring. He can either get out of the cage with his brother and win the tag team titles, or he can be an asshole and jump off of the cage onto Devon. And of course, he chooses to jump off of the cage
Well, come on,
through the table. He
it's the
misses.
Hardys. Yeah,
Fuck that. There's a time where you just have to, if you really want it that bad, kick his ass after the match and put him back on the table. But don't do it in the middle of a match.
fair enough. That's one of those moments where it's like, do I do it for the fans? Do it for the fans. And then, well, the
Fuck
fans
the
are.
fans.
Then there's those times where it's fuck the fans. I want to win this match. We could. That's just like when back in the day, I think it was Backlash when Shane McMahon almost died. It was
Shane McMahon almost dying. There's a lot of different instances for that.
okay, but this was one of the most iconic ones in my opinion when he was going against the Big Show. I want to say it was Backlash, but he knocked the Big Show down on one of it was either Big Show or it was Kevin Nash. It was one of those two,
I would
and he
think
went
it'd
up
be Big Show.
to the biggest Telecaster post, went like almost 6 to 12 stories high, and just threw the cross on his chest and jumped. At that point as a kid, I was thinking, I was excited. It was one of the fun, like, I was ecstatic. And then now on these days, when I look back, I'm like, why would you do that? What makes in your mind as you're climbing this that this is a good idea?
I don't know. I feel like sometimes people don't want to live as much as they should want to live. But
Yeah,
anything as far as this match is concerned, lots of trickery on the part of Sheamus and Cesaro. The match ends when I believe there was a point where Jeff tried to he hit the swanton bomb on Sheamus, but Sheamus wasn't the legal man, and Cesaro rolled him up and got the pin, and then he just ran
yeah,
out the clock. So quite
yeah.
nefarious means to win the match, but it means at least for the time being that Sheamus and Cesaro are
There you
still the
go.
tag team champions, and we may be moving closer to seeing the world of the Hardys be broken.
It'll be a sad day. I
Screw
think.
you.
What was the next match? I think we skipped the match. I think we skipped the Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks, right? Or was that next?
Oh no, that was next.
The women's division. There's so much I could say. First off, I'm glad that Charlotte is no longer a champion on Raw.
You bastard.
Look, she rode her name to fame, in my opinion, and she's just conniving. I mean, let's talk about when she had Dana Brooks as a sidekick. There were so
I would
many
want
times
Dana
that she
Brooke as a
should.
sidekick too.
That's perfectly fine, but win your matches fair, man. Come on. Like then you had Hell in a Cell, first women's match was Charlotte versus Sasha. Great match, great ending. And it seems like lately it's just the biggest commotion was on SmackDown when you had Carmella winning the first female Money in the Bank twice, which there was no reason for a second, in my opinion. I mean, there's no rules in that match, but we're not going to talk about that.
Oh yeah, I was
Um,
pissed about that.
I mean, in that match, I was pulling for Charlotte. I wasn't pulling for Charlotte. What am I saying? I was pulling for Sasha. I'm more of a Sasha fan. Um, and then when I heard Carmella won, I was like, you know what? They need to change it up. The cameo of Charlotte, Sasha. I think who was the other one?
If you're talking about the whole horsewomen thing, you're probably talking about Becky Lynch and Bailey. And honestly, with
Yep.
the exception of Charlotte, I hate all the horsewomen.
None of them are good, in my opinion, and that is final.
Well, no, it's not that they're not good. It's just there's specific reasons I don't like them. But let me focus on in this match, I can focus on Sasha Banks. My main problem with Sasha Banks is her character is that of okay, we're both from New Jersey.
Yep.
Sasha Banks is literally every single girl on my block. I could walk right outside right now at freaking 12 a.m. and see 12 different women with that stupid neon pink light bright hair, same ratchet attitude, same overinflated ego. And then when it comes to her wrestling, she has a lot of what I call cringe moves, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like basically what it means is just that she has a lot of sudden moves that look painful.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
cool. But right now she's supposed to be the good guy, correct?
Yeah.
Here's my
She
issue. If you can't she takes 95% of the match, which means she's on the offense for 95%, which typically if you're a good guy, you're supposed to give a little bit more offense to the bad guy because it motivates the fans to make you want to see you win. I
Yeah.
can't get behind you like as far as me feeling sympathy for you during your match if you take most of the match and then you come out of nowhere for the 5 seconds that your opponent finally gets a move in and win the match and then try to portray it as if, oh, this was such a hard fought victory. No, it wasn't. You were winning the match most of the time. It's like the WrestleMania thing where they try to make it seem like Roman Reigns had this dominant match over The Undertaker. I'm like, The Undertaker was 50 years old and he spent most of the match bouncing you around. You had to use your finisher 5 times.
Sadly enough, I didn't see that match. I wish I did. rip the Undertaker. But Roman, man, I'm not even going to get started on him. I'll wait till the Roman and Braun Strowman match, that one. Whew!
Oh yeah, that was
But
interesting.
from what I've seen from the Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss, it ended by countout, right?
Yes, it did. I actually got
That
that
right
prediction correct.
there, that right there annoys me so much. Like you have two of now Alexa Bliss. See, I feel the same way you do with Alexa Bliss. Like I could go out somewhere and find like that middle between 21 and say 18, like that personality, and it just annoys me so much.
I
Like
hate you.
we get it, you're good, but you don't
You're
have to be so
beautiful.
snippy about it. You don't have to be so prude about it in the ugliest terms. Uh,
Are you
to
just
have
upset
a
because she's taller than you?
I don't think she's taller. How tall is she?
5 feet.
No, see, I'm taller than her. I'm 5'2".
What?
Yeah, I'm 5'2", bud. But when it comes to a champion match, I don't feel count out should be an option, especially something like this. Like weeks after weeks, the female division is going after the same exact thing, and there's not much diversity between stories. There's who's with who, and now Lana's a wrestler. And when it comes to a championship match, I don't think count out like that should be present. I feel like a lot of the viewers want to see actual fight. They want to see actual want to win, which I've seen Sasha wrestle a lot lately, and she wants that. She wants to win. She's always been that way, especially when they had the back and forth with Charlotte and Sasha, which was the most annoying thing in the world. Um, but I don't think it should have been. I think they should have came out and restarted the match or did something. I don't think countout should have been an option.
Okay, fair enough. One thing I will say that annoyed me about the way this whole thing ended, right? Because the match ends in count out, and there was some pretty interesting stuff in there, like Alexa Bliss did that really nasty thing with her arm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's that out of context. That sounded terrible, but she did the thing where she pops her arm out, and then it looks like it's like bent in half, and
Yeah,
use
so she
that to
uses the
deliver
rep
like
to.
a killer right hook to Sasha, which I loved because I love seeing Sasha Banks in pain. But the ending of the match, it's not. I predicted that Alexa Bliss would lose by countout. That's not what I had a problem with. My problem was Alexa Bliss slaps Sasha Banks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sasha sits in the ring for about 3 or 4 seconds, just like sitting there, like, oh, she really slapped me. I can't believe it. This bitch really hit me. Instead of getting out of the ring and grabbing Alexa Bliss and throwing her back, actually, here's the killer. She didn't even have to touch Alexa Bliss. Literally, all she could have did was take within that 3 seconds, roll out to outside of the ring and roll directly back in.
Oh,
Save the count.
absolutely.
But then, as soon as she sees Alexa Bliss walking away, and I guess she posed with the title or something, she gets all this energy and decides, I'm going to hop out of the ring and whoop Alexa Bliss's ass. Like, where the fuck was this energy when she slapped you? When she physically assaulted you?
Look, I'll tell you this: when you have a woman really want to slap the living heck out of your mouth, you don't want to move at first because you're stunned. Happen. Know how it feels. Not a good feeling. But
I imagine it's a hilarious feeling to see you get slapped, but I digress.
but yeah, like that right there, like that's just unneeded. That's what people don't want to see. Like people pay hundreds of dollars to be able to watch these superstars that they all idolize, and to have that as an ending to a match, me as a fan, if I was there, I'd be pissed.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm only okay because the Bliss goddess walked away with the championship. But
What's next? What
enough
do
with
we
all
got?
that Sasha Banks negativity. I don't need that in my life. Let's talk about something slightly more positive. The Miz and Dean. Got me there. Let's talk about the Miz and Dean Ambrose.
God, I hate him.
This is only more positive because Maurice was at ringside, and
I
she is pretty close to a goddess. But this match was. I'll admit, to me, this match was just more
bullshit.
out funny than anything else.
Oh, it's always hilarious. Now that the Miz has this entourage, I give air quotes a lot. It just shows that the Miz is just a shit champion. Like, no other words need to be said. I think Booker T had a little thing on there when they were in the middle of a fight. Dean went for dirty deeds. He got out of it, and I think one of them said something about, "Don't you feel more confident having 3 or 4 people at the ringside?" And Booker T's like, "Well, yeah, of course I would. Why wouldn't I?" If you go back, I think maybe a month ago on Talking Smack, when Daniel Bryan went at the Miz saying that you're a shit champion, I can't do anything more than agree. Like, if a champion like that needs 3 to 4 people to inquire a win, I mean, let's look back SmackDown. Let's look Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal, having the 2 little sons of guns help to beat Randy for the champion, and now Jinder thinks that he's a god. No, you're a loser. If it was straight up one-on-one, no Maurice, no, I don't even remember the people.
Why would you take Maurice away?
There are so many times that Dean could win a match with The Miz and Maurice just interferes like nothing.
But why would you get rid of Maurice? She's Maurice.
Why? That's the exact reason why. See, my camera doesn't even like the fact that she was there.
Maybe your camera's not focused on the right place.
But yeah, I was pulling for Dean in that match all day long.
I was kind of unbiased in this match, but this is one of the 2 matches where I laughed my ass off because of the way the match played out. Like, when I saw Dean Ambrose go for his discus clothesline and Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel pull him out of the ring.
That's what I mean.
That shit was hilarious. And then,
that's sad.
Not to even jump around, but in the beginning of the match, before he even touches the Miz, Dean Ambrose jumps out of the ring and begins to attack Curtis Axel. That's hilarious.
Well, Dean's just that type of person when it comes to the fighting. I would rather see Dean with any championship than The Miz. The Miz deserves nothing but dirt. That's all he deserves is dirt, in my opinion.
He's
win a
walking
match
around
on your...
an amazing French Canadian. He deserves the world. In fact, he has the world.
And Rusev had the lovely Lana. Tomato. Who cares?
No. It's much different. Lana has an annoying accent. Maurice has an amazing accent.
You remind me of the fight I had with somebody about back in the Hardy days with Lita.
Oh, no, I'm staying away from redheads. Redheads are evil. Never again.
But seriously, like, if The Miz can single-handedly win a freaking championship match, no cheating, no low blows, no outside help, I'll respect him. But right now, he just deserves dirt, in my opinion. I will buy him a bottle of dirt and send it to him. Like,
that's a lot of money. You could buy me a beer with that money. But I digress. The match ends when the numbers game finally catches up to Dean Ambrose, and
of course.
He another hilarious spot. He pulls Curtis Axel into the ring and proceeds to beat the guy's ass. Then Bo Dallas sneaks up behind him and hits him upside the head. I couldn't tell if he had a weapon or not, but smacks him right upside the head. And then The Miz hits the skull-crushing finale. And 1, 2, 3, Dean Ambrose is taken care of. And The Miz reigns supreme with his amazing French Canadian intel. Yeah, any final comments or anything on this match?
No, The Miz is still dirt.
Oh, God. Okay. So, here we go. This is one of the heavy hitter matches of the night. We had Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns. This match might have been the most violent match on this show. And I don't even know if the most violent part was what happened during the match or what happened afterwards. Like,
I would say after, when Roman backed the freaking when he backed the ambulance in the trailer. That was was a little uncalled for, but I mean,
a good percentage of this match was just Braun Strowman running into things. Like, I think he did more damage to himself than Roman Reigns did.
Yeah, I will definitely agree with you. I mean, Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, man, they're just 2 freaking people of nature that you don't know what you're going to get until the match starts. Like,
Speaking of which, I want to address something real quick. They keep talking about how Roman Reigns beat The Undertaker. Fine, it happened. It's whatever. But now I'm hearing rumors
oh boy.
that The Undertaker might come back for SummerSlam. And I have only one thing to say to that. No. No, damn it. No. You will stay your dead ass retired. Because I got this tattoo on my motherfucking arm of your symbol and the date you retired. And so help me. So help me. If you try to come out of retirement, I will find you. I will take a shovel to your kneecap. I mean, some things will probably happen before that. You'll probably like fuck me up, choke slam me on the roof of my rental car or some shit. Like I'll probably get beat the fuck up by a 50-year-old man, and I'm not ashamed to admit that.
But at some point, this shovel's hitting your kneecap.
Exactly. And when that shovel hits your kneecap, it's over. You will not stand up again. Now, if you manage to beat me while you're on your back, I will be impressed and quite frankly ashamed of myself. But that's not the point. Stay your old ass retired.
No, I mean, when it comes to Undertaker, I mean, he deserves the retirement. Brock Lesnar was the first to ever defeat him. I thought that was it for him. And then when Roman Reigns started calling out, I'm the dog, this is my house, and I've been a fan of Roman ever since the Shield was a thing.
Oh, dear Lord.
You know what? I don't care what anybody says. Those three were the craziest ones that were ever in the ring. Even though that Seth Rollins was the one that broke them up, I would still love to see them back together. But when I seen that Roman Reigns was going to go against The Undertaker, I was like, you know what? If Roman wins, it's going to be, one, a hard fight. Two, it's not going to be short-lived. He's going to need some time to beat him because The Undertaker just does not give up. And three, and most of all, it's WrestleMania. This is his time. Undertaker went 21-0 until I think it was 21-0, and then Brock beat him, right?
We don't talk about that on this show.
Just stating facts, man. It sucked. It really does. I would love for him to take care of himself. Enjoy the rest of your life, man. I wouldn't come back if I was him. He put himself on the line too many times. I mean, even Kane stepped down a little bit. He's who knows where he is in the company. There was times where
he's taking somewhat of a sabbatical. He lives in Tennessee, and apparently he's running for office. I think he's trying to become a mayor or a senator or something.
Okay.
But we're getting off topic. Let's jump into this match. So this match, like I said before, extremely violent, extremely funny. The match actually kind of starts with somewhat of a funny spot where Roman runs up and he doesn't Superman punch, obviously, like I'm making it sound, but he punches Braun Strowman in the face, and Braun Strowman just responds by shoving him on his ass.
How dare you!
So there's lots of brawling in this match. At one point, Braun Strowman hits his finishing move, the power slam, goes for a pin, but then immediately remembers it's an ambulance match. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But the real action starts when Braun Strowman starts to carry Roman Reigns to the ambulance, but Roman actually gets off of his shoulders, rolls back into the ring. Then, at some point, they end up in a position where the classic arm across the turnbuckle on the outside of the ring. Roman takes a chair shot to his elbow, the surgically repaired elbow, a few times. But what I found interesting is afterwards, Roman hits him with a chair, and I think his back or his shoulder or something, and Braun completely no-sells it and just looks at him like he's going to kill him. Which is just beautiful.
That's always the funny thing about Braun Strowman. Like, you could hit him, and if it really doesn't hurt, he just got that blank look. Just, are you kidding me?
But,
I can eat you.
The violence did continue to pick up because we did have Roman getting tossed off the stage right into to the side of the ambulance. Braun Strowman got pushed to the LED board.
There was a lot from what I seen, yeah. And Braun ended up winning, right?
Yes, I believe he either tossed or pushed Roman into the ambulance as Roman was going for a spear.
Yeah.
Now we can talk about the real the real noteworthy thing from all of this is the end, where Roman opens up the doors to the ambulance while Braun is celebrating, and then spears the shit out of him, puts him in the ambulance, and proceeds to drive away. Then he rams the back of the ambulance into one of the production trucks or something like that. Here's my thing. It's really hard to say Roman Reigns wasn't justified for doing that, as much as I don't like him.
Yeah.
And here's why. Braun Strowman tried to kill him multiple times. He flipped him over inside of an ambulance.
I still want to know if that was helped. Like, I know
That
Braun
had to
Strowman's
be.
a big dude, but I mean, Big Show was the only man that I ever knew that flipped a Jeep. And then when Braun Strowman flipped a full-size ambulance, I was like, something don't make sense. Like, there could have been wires or something hanging that pulled up on it. Who knows? But when I seen the update on that where he backed the ambulance into the tractor trailers, and then they needed to use the jaws of life to get him out, I was like, Roman was trying to make a statement. Like, yeah, you beat me, but you did not really beat me.
I think the statement he was trying to make is, motherfucker, you have almost killed me on several occasions. One of us is going to die, and it's not going to be me.
Fair enough.
So, I mean, we basically saw Roman Reigns, the face of WWE, basically commit murder.
Nah, there's been countless of times that happened. I can point out just a couple on the top of my head.
I'm sure you can. I'm just saying, Roman Reigns is supposedly some great role model. He tried to kill someone today.
He tried. But dude, you've seen Braun. He was stumbling, but he was okay.
A piece of his arm was hanging off. There was skin. I'm sure it was fake skin, but
let's not point out hands and needles here. Let's just say that he was fucked up.
This is a wrestling organization, not Grand Theft Auto.
Ah, well. But
Now,
let's move on to the letdown of the night, in my opinion. That match, man, that just... The next one is, of course, you got Brock Lesnar versus Samoa Joe. Man, did that really just suck.
I don't know. I have a bad sense of humor. Like a really morbid sense of humor where I laugh at things that I guess really
shouldn't be laughed at.
Yeah, because when I saw Samoa Joe basically like attack him from behind and then give him a Uranagi slam through the announce table, like I literally laughed through the entire beginning of that beatdown. Like it because it's such an asshole thing to do.
Oh, absolutely. But that's just like, that was Samoa Joe's thing was, I'm going to let you know that I'm not afraid of you. And he made it clear. It just annoys me that Brock is just a half guy. Like, he beat Goldberg, whoop-de-doo. That was one of the shortest matches next to when Goldberg first beat him in I think it was a minute or something like that.
Oh, don't bring that up. I was furious throughout that whole ordeal.
But still, though, like, they got some of these wrestlers, like, look at John Cena, perfect example. He goes away and he stays away until he's done doing what he has to do. And then he comes back for a good 6 or 7 months and does his thing, has a title ordeal every now and then. But he never wants to be that half wrestler that comes back like, oh, look at me, I'm the champion, look, and then disappears for half a year, maybe even a year. What happened to that, like, 30-day defense thing?
Okay, here's my explanation for that, because I think a lot of people misconstrue exactly what that is. I've always looked at that 30-day policy as you have to be eligible to defend your championship. Meaning, like, if, let's say, you become the women's champion, Joe, or you become the women's champion, and, you go on vacation. If I call you up on the phone, you need to be able to make it within, 30 days of when I say you have to defend that championship.
Why do I gotta be a woman?
Well, it's not that you're a woman. It's that's the only championship I think you might have a decent shot at winning. But that's beside the point.
I feel like I could beat the shit out of The Miz, but okay. But I get what you're going for.
Yes, I'm trying to make you feel confident. I'm trying to put you in a place where you might have a chance. You and Alexa Bliss are about the same height. She has a little bit more booty than you. She's obviously more athletic. She can do
Oh, I'm
flips. I
going
don't
straight.
think you can.
I'm going straight chair shots. Put me in a DQ match. It's the only way I'm fighting.
Even then, I don't think you have much of a chance. But that's not the point. My point is, I've always taken the 30-day rule to mean like, if I tell you 30 days SummerSlam, you got to be eligible to defend that title. That's what my interpretation of the 30-day rule has always been. I don't think it means you have to defend the championship within 30 days. I think it means if you are called upon, you must be able to do so within that 30 days.
Hmm. But still, though, this isn't the first time we've had this problem with Brock Lesnar. He went out, he left. So I think it was, I want to say 2 or 3, maybe even 4 years ago. I don't remember. He went and did the UFC. Then I think it was WrestleMania. He came back for an event, which I think nobody quote me on any of this. This is just full memory. I'm trying to remember. He came back at some event, and then I think he won that event, and then left for another 4 or 5 months. That to me, right there. And now when Finn Balor came, which I wish he was in, I wish he won the freaking Money in the Bank. To be honest, um, when he came in, he won the WWE Undisputed Champion, whatever they want to call it, and then had to forcefully give it up because he was injured. Which then it went to the next person. There was a constant fight for that title. Kevin Owens had it. He had it. I want to say Seth Rollins. No, not Seth Rollins. Somebody else had it between them. And then Brock Lesnar comes along when Goldberg has it, beats Goldberg, and then leaves for another 5 or 6 months. There's so many opportunities they could have had for more people to give it a shot if Brock Lesnar was just there more often. I think Brock is an absolute monster in the ring. Does he have same old move set? Absolutely. Everybody knows as soon as that match starts, he gets you into a suplex city, you're done. There's only so many suplexes one man can handle. But I don't think somebody of that stature should have a title like that. Make him something that's not so important. Make him the the one that the Miz has. I can't remember at the top of my head right now.
Intercontinental?
Yeah. Give him that title. Something that's not so exclusive to the people that everybody wants to see something. Like they keep having these, first contender matches and whatnot. And what are they going to do? How many more times is Brock going to have to come to one event to then be let go for 6 or 7 months? And people are like, yo, when's he coming back? Is he coming back? It's like, yeah, he's a great champion when he's got it and when he's around. But when he's not around, there's no action. So, I mean, when I heard that Samoa Joe coming from NXT as a champion, putting his body on the line through numerous amounts of occasions, the whole thing with Seth Rollins, I thought was a bit overplayed. He had nothing to do with Seth Rollins. Rollins never really hit Samoa Joe hard on anything. When he was working with Triple H and Triple H said, you're going to be the next. And I was thinking, what, this will be fine. I would rather have Samoa Joe, who is one of the people that will contend every single night and every other freaking week to keep that championship alive. Speaking of champions, let me pull away from this for 1 second. Did you hear who the new United States title holder is?
Yes, I did.
Freaking AJ fucking Styles, man. Thank the
Joe,
Lord.
watch your fucking language. This is a fucking PG product, and I will not have your
I'm
motherfucking ass
sorry.
talking on my fucking
I am just
show,
so
you fucking
happy. You don't understand. Like, when I went on YouTube, right? I'm subscribed to WWE. I seen the update of AJ Styles 1. I was like, wait, when did this happen? Apparently, it was an unrecorded WWE live event, and he beat Kevin Owens. I was like, thank God.
Well, I mean, it was Madison Square Garden, so I'm not. It obviously came as a shock, but I'm not that surprised knowing the location. But just to touch on this Brock Lesnar Samoa Joe thing, I think this was the closest thing to a wrestling match, like a more extensive wrestling match that Brock Lesnar's had since maybe his match with The Undertaker at Hell in a Cell. Like, when I say extensive, I mean him actually doing more than just Suplex City. Now, granted, his offense wasn't that much more expansive, but it actually seemed like there was more of a purpose of the match as opposed to just I'm in here, Suplex City, forearms, I've busted you open, F5. Now, the one fatal flaw I will say this match did have is that Samoa Joe was built up to look like a badass and a monster, and he did for the most part. But then he loses to one F5. Just one.
Well, no, you got to count. He did hit 6 suplexes on him, but I hear what you're saying.
Well, I mean, the thing about the suplexes was it's impressive until my eyes were on Joe for the suplexes and his reaction to the suplexes. Basically, he was on all fours, and then he almost got right back up. Normally, when someone takes a German suplex from Brock, they're down for a little bit. They're on their side. It was almost like he was either getting up or getting up on all fours, kind of to send the message of, yeah, I'm not everybody else. You're not just gonna, suplex me and expect me to lay on the ground and, cower in fear and shit. But then he takes one F5 and it's all over. I mean, I think it should have taken more than just one F5, but at this point I'm nitpicking because if we get down to the basis of it, I don't really think anyone expected Samoa Joe to win. I think the best anyone could have really hoped for in this scenario was that we get a no contest. But I don't think anyone actually sat there and said, I think Samoa Joe has a pretty good chance of walking out of this the victor.
I did. I was hoping for it.
Poor, sweet, innocent Joe.
I was hoping for it. But, I mean, other than that, it's just another event. There's plenty more to come. I think our next one's SummerSlam, right?
I don't know what the next Raw show is. I think the next SmackDown show is Battleground or something like that.
I was going to say Backlash.
I almost did that too for a second. But then I remember John Cena and Rusev have some sort of flag match. But,
Yeah, that's supposed to be, I think, this Tuesday, which I want to see. This Rusev thing, man, ever since he debuted, I'm going to end it off on a little bit of a little rant. Ever since Rusev came to the roster, he had that little thing with Alberto Del Rio and that little crew. Rusev, to me, he's a good wrestler, but he's kind of, I don't want to say outplayed, but a lot of other people have brought this to the table. Like, look at Jinder Mahal. He's every single time he's out in the ring, at the end of his thing, he's got to, I'm going to speak to the people in my name, and we get it. You guys are from a different place, and you show that you're worth it. I think they need to stop taking so much reliability on where they've came from and really focus on who they are as a wrestler. So, I mean, this thing with John Cena where he's got the flag match, it's a little kiddish in my opinion. I feel like they can use those two to a bigger potential. Maybe an Iron Man match, maybe a Lumberjack match, maybe, a TLC, something that really puts them at their best. Like, look at the last one, Roman Reigns versus Rusev in the cage. I think it was either Cage or Hell in a Cell. They fought till blood is drawn, and that was one of the best matches for Rusev that I've ever seen. So when it comes to like these certain people that they keep pulling out and pulling back in, I feel like Rusev had every right to be upset with the WWE. He let out a couple tweets, a couple videos saying, this is what I want. In ways, yeah, when he was like the United States champion, he kind of overplayed it. There's just so many other ways that I feel like the WWE can come out and say, hey, we have better people and better brands and better matches than no matter what brand it is, whether it's Raw or SmackDown.
All right. Well, let me before we call it off or call it a show, let me just ask you a thing or two. The first thing I wanted to ask you is, now that we've actually had the pay-per-view, tomorrow's Monday Night Raw, do you think we're going to get any Brock Lesnar, any build-up for his next opponent, or do you think he's going to be gone for a while?
You're probably going to have Paul Heyman come out and run his mouth like he always does, but what more can be done? I mean, I feel like the next thing, if it were to happen, if I had to guess, Paul Heyman's going to come out and say, oh, Brock Lesnar beat Samoa Joe, and he's still the champion no matter what you people wanted, and blah, blah, blah. And then Samoa Joe's going to come out and run his mouth. I don't see, that's the one thing about Brock. He never really talks for himself unless he's behind a camera in a room next door to his opponent.
Well, he has a track record of either saying some weird or outlandish stuff or just not being a very good promo. I will say there was one time where they had him doing a little bit more of his own speaking in the ring. I mean, I know he did a little bit of his own speaking when they did that segment on Monday you referenced, but the segment with Seth Rollins and John Cena where they were having their triple threat match,
Hmm.
that was a pretty good little exchange there, especially on behalf of Brock Lesnar. But as far as what I think of the situation is, a lot of people were hoping there was going to be a rematch between Brock and Samoa Joe, but the way he lost tonight, I don't think Samoa Joe really has a case. So what I would probably say is we're either going to get Braun Strowman or Roman Reigns in contention for SummerSlam or something towards that.
Oh yeah,
Outside of those two, the only other person I could see really being put in that position, maybe Finn Balor.
dude, I would like to see nothing more than the Demon King come back and rise up to one of the greatest. Finn Balor is so much better in the ring compared to any of them. The only one I can see that competes next to that level is AJ Styles or Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens, he's played
Oh,
out.
finally a Sami Zayn fan. I mean, too bad he's on
Yeah,
SmackDown.
too many on
Otherwise,
SmackDown, but like I mean, though, like Kevin Owens is played out. Jericho, who knows where he is? Who else? You got AJ Styles, who's now a champion, so he's not going to be really relied on much. Um, Seth Rollins, he's doing his thing with Bray Wyatt. Who knows what's going to happen on SmackDown with Baron Corbin? I am praying that there's a time where Baron Corbin sees his chance and just snatches the title away from Jinder. And then that would be a good match, in my opinion. You got Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal versus, you know, um, Baron Corbin. Like, there's so many things that can go on here with both brands. But for Raw, the only thing I can see happening is The Miz is probably going to come out, run his mouth, blah, blah, blah. I won. You guys told me that it wasn't going to happen. Then, then they're going to have Dean Ambrose come out, which Dean Ambrose is a pro on the microphone. I'm not going to lie. Um, Everything else, maybe they're going to do something with the Hardys. Maybe they're going to talk about how Sheamus and Cesaro did something. Samoa Joe, they're probably going to keep him off camera for a little bit, let him regain some stuff. I mean, I see like all the frontmans, like maybe they're going to do something later on 205 Live where Neville runs his mouth. It's so much to say, but if I want to see anything, if there's anybody I could see on the come up that I would love to see move forward to come next, personally, I think they're underlining Apollo Crews. I believe, yeah, he's on Raw with Titus and all them. I think he's being underused. I'd like to see something happen with him. But most likely, the one thing that's going to happen tomorrow is probably going to be the two champions, which are Neville and The Miz, because they just love to both run their mouth.
okay, I'm gonna make one more prediction, and then we can. I'll let you put out your, plug yourself and everything. But
Sure.
the two predictions I'm gonna make, I'm going to predict that Samoa Joe is gonna go on some type of rampage, and we're probably gonna get some sort of let's call it a repercussion segment storyline thing with Kurt Angle admonishing Roman Reigns for basically committing murder on a live PG pay per view. But
Even though Braun Strowman was walking, he was walking. God, the camera again doesn't like what I'm saying.
attempted murder is attempted murder, Joe. But all in all, where can people reach you? Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Let us have it.
Alrighty, guys. So, and again, Aaron, as Mr. Whatever he wants to be called, said, my name is JD. I'm a YouTuber. I do a gaming channel on here on YouTube. I plan on doing a lot more in the next year. I'm going to send him a link to put in the description. My name is JD. I have plenty of different kinds of videos out there. We got a lot coming in. I have so many esports teams that are being put together. So, if you want, when you come from here, check me out, check my videos out. Let me know what you guys think of them. Let me know what you guys want to see. And like always, I'm JD. I'll always be JD. And that's it for me.
All right. Well, JD's mom is very hot, as you guys obviously saw. Obviously, I'm going to be here doing my One Piece reviews, any Michael Jackson stuff I find interesting. I actually have a project that I hope to have out for you guys later this week. It's not necessarily of the Michael Jackson variety, but There is going to be music involved. But yeah, One Piece, wrestling, Michael Jackson. Game of Thrones is back next week, so there'll probably be some sort of review for that. That I'm really looking forward to. But this has been your boy, Damn It, Clem, and you just got to see my great balls of fire. Peace out.